Business Pants Friday show here at May 9th Studios featuring analyst whole Matt Moscardi. Spreadsheet Whisperer.
I have to imagine there are a lot of chief sustainability officer cheers these days.
For good reason. On today's weekly wrap-up, Berkshire Hathaway's new pope.
Oh.
Subaru loves gay cyclists. And 10 things I hate about Zuck.
Yes.
It's a great movie. It's a great...
classic, really.
Classic movie. Classic
movie.
rom-com. Yeah. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connections and performance for free. The audience, I talked to the audience before the show, they actually are clapping kind of sarcastically because I was telling them that if only ISS had access to our data before their weird punt.
Yeah,
that's foreshadowing to a story we're going to cover today.
The funny part is they did because
they do. It's free.
It's free.
It's
free.
That's true, actually. And ISS, don't be afraid to reach out to us if it's hard for you to understand. If you're if it's overwhelming, just call us.
It's just, the full methodology is also free, and a lot of the data is free. And even with all that, if you can't figure it out, we're available. Yeah. Get at us.
Yeah, there's more data about directors other than just age.
What? But there is age on there, though.
Yeah, we do have age.
There is age on there. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it. Come on, story of the week. You're excited today.
I know. I'm feeling good.
I've got 5, although the last one is kind of introducing a new concept based on the new Pope. So let me just start at the top, in no particular order. Berkshire has a new CEO. Berkshire, I love how this headline goes. Berkshire board names Greg Abel as CEO, Buffett to remain chair. When Buffett stepped down, he said he asked the board to name Greg Abel. But that, come on, what are we talking about? I mean,
he
obviously
asked
it's
Howard
Warren's
and
choice.
Susan to name
Warren's
Greg.
choice. This other headline made me giggle too. Warren Buffett makes surprise announcement. He's stepping down. Dude, he's 94 years old. He's 94.
Yeah. It's a surprise, though. They expected him to die in the role.
In office.
Like Charlie Munger. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know what you want to say about this, but we've known that Greg Abel was going to take over since I worked, no joke, at GMI Ratings. That's how long we've known.
Well, I would say that
was a long time ago.
That is the longest succession plan maybe in the history of succession plans.
Yeah,
right.
They're calling him a genius for
succession.
this, but is he a genius for the succession planning? I mean, do we care? Is it? What do you think?
Also, I know he's stepping down. I know he's been a historically fantastic investor. I know there's a lot to like about his folksyisms. But we are really quickly ignoring the things that, Warren Buffett was not so good at.
What he was ignoring, you mean? He ignored a lot of things.
Yeah, he had a tendency to not care about a lot of stuff that is important.
Yeah, true.
But look, kudos to him.
Save that for when he dies. How dare you? Crap on him when he dies, not now. Now he's the chair, so he's still going to be calling. I think Greg is still going to come to him and be like, "What do I do here?"
If he lives for 2 or 3 more years after he steps down, he will be chair emeritus. Well, he'll be like an emeritus director, won't he? I mean, it's almost a guarantee.
Yeah. The good news is that we still don't know. He still could be the first immortal person, so he might live forever. We don't know. All right, second big story. OpenAI backs off push to become for-profit company. Now, this is a little confusing, and I actually asked its own chatbot to summarize this for us. First, it came up with something that was just too overwhelming and I think full of bullshit, so I asked it to kind of even pare that down. I'm going to read what it says. OpenAI has restructured into a hybrid model with a non-profit parent company, OpenAI Inc., and a for-profit subsidiary now called which is a public benefit corporation. This shift allows for investment while keeping a focus on its mission of developing AGI for the benefit of humanity.
Oh.
They didn't insert any kind of, there's no chuckling emojis there. That's what they said. The change responds to previous criticism about reducing nonprofit oversight. Although what it left out is that SoftBank's massive investment of billions of dollars required the company to become for profit within a year. So Matt, like everything at OpenAI, I think everyone gets all the stories about it kind of wrong. I don't know. Is that your sense too? Like nobody knows how to talk about OpenAI.
Well, does anybody know how to talk about public benefit corporations?
No, not really. There's a very stakeholdery mandate baked into public benefit corporations. It all seems good, but in practice, do we know that they actually do a thing, or is it like the Business Roundtable pretending that they want to help homeless people or something? Like, is it equivalent to that?
Well, it's
very new concept, very new structure.
A public, if it's in Delaware, I imagine, right? I think they just have to write down that they're doing this for the benefit of like humanity or a stakeholder in their documents.
But how can they prove that and measure that?
Oh, well, I think that's the requirement. Like, isn't that the only requirement?
Then listen to me, and why don't we just pull the plug on all this AI stuff? Why don't we like pause for 100 years?
Well, that would be that would actually be for the benefit
that could
of
be
humanity.
very well could be. Yeah.
So that's where it's confusing, because if you're
confusing.
making something that could destroy humanity and calling it something for the benefit of humanity, is that a public benefit corporation? All right, listeners.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about public benefit corporations structurally.
So somebody
hit us on LinkedIn. Somebody send us an email. Give us a full rundown so that we can actually make a joke out of the fact that OpenAI is going to be a public.
I was going to say,
corporation.
if we like your answer, we would even be willing to mock you next week on the show.
That's true. We'll mock you here alongside OpenAI.
Yeah. That's the second big story. I love how yesterday Sam Altman is actually testifying in Congress, asking them basically to stop regulating his company.
Oh, yeah.
So now, Matt, my intuition would tell me that it would benefit humanity to regulate companies that are trying to make massive profits off of AI. Wouldn't that benefit humanity?
Is there any situation that you can think of in which a company that actually works to the benefit of humanity asks for you to stop looking at it while it benefits humanity? Like, is that a situation that happens?
Using China as the reason why you should stop looking at it,
because
because China might win.
China.
And by the way, I'm going to tease my last story right here. I've renamed Sam Altman in my last story to Mark the 7th.
Oh,
you'll see what that means later. Mark the 7th. Okay.
I already don't like it.
Next, third big story. I think that this was this week. Kohl's CEO was fired after an investigation finds highly unusual business deal with former romantic partner. Remember, that's the dude, Ashley Buchanan, who essentially created a multi-million-dollar consulting deal with his girlfriend under unusually favorable terms, which he failed to disclose. That's a bit much.
Honestly, the real headline inside that headline is former romantic partner. I mean,
either
way,
they're
not together anymore.
Well,
now,
it could
right?
be friends with benefits. We don't really know.
Do you think she wanted more favorable terms, and that was part of the breakup?
The other big story here is that this is the interim CEO represents the fourth CEO at Kohl's in 3 years, and yet all the board members are still there.
Not only are all the board members still there,
how?
But this was for Ashley Buchanan. This is a repeat. This actually happened.
Yeah, he screwed up before, right?
In his former jobs,
yeah.
Right? Like, wasn't he at like Dollar Store? Or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was Dollar Store. So this is the second time with the same romantic partner that there's been some sort of unusual deals, at least. So the succession planning did not involve asking any questions like, do you have any weird deals with romantic partners?
Couldn't they found that on their own? I mean, couldn't they have done a Google search? Even a ChatGPT search?
ChatGPT came up with it.
Listen, I will say this. I applaud companies for actually firing people. I applaud companies for actually disclosing why they fired the CEO and for not letting him walk away with a massive golden parachute. But I will say, how is the board not held accountable for this?
Do you think there's a problem with the fact that we have to applaud them for firing someone who did crap?
I'm looking at Kroger's, which still hasn't told us how its horrible, unethical CEO screwed up.
That's the most exciting 8K of the year. Like,
let's go to the fourth big story. This is my nerdy story. I think you referenced this later in the show, so I don't know how much you want to cover it here. But the headline is "Proxy Firms Split on Harley Davidson Board Shakeup."
Yeah,
which is confusing because Nell Minow was at Congress this week testifying at a House hearing called "Exposing the Proxy Advisory Cartel: How ISS and Glass Lewis Influence Markets," but they didn't agree. So, is it really a monopoly if they don't agree, Matt?
I love when a cartel disagrees with itself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but here's the funny part. Behavior. I'm just gonna highlight the funny part, and the funny part is, of course, ISS. They're always the funny part.
Yeah,
ISS is my new favorite funny part. They're looking okay. So H Partners is asking. They're 9% shareholders of Harley Davidson. They are asking shareholders to withhold the vote for 3 very long tenure directors.
17 years, yeah, plus.
One of them is the former CEO who's already stepped down, but is still lingering.
Yeah, he's like hanging outside like a kid at the high school after you graduate.
Yeah, and this is ISS's extremely lackluster analysis, and this is without satire. Here's the quote: "There are compelling reasons to believe that as a group, the targeted directors still have a perspective that can be valuable."
Ooh, wow. I'm convinced.
Yeah, and in discussing the candidacy of departing CEO Jochen Zeitz, they say, "It appears that his time in the role has been more positive than negative."
Yeah.
Which makes it hard to argue that his vote on a successor is worthless. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what any of this means.
That last one is the one that really drives me nuts.
Okay, go ahead.
Because if you are saying, first of all, you're saying it appears it's been more positive.
Everything's
than
a belief or an appearance.
So first of all, what is the appearance of positivity versus the appearance of negativity?
Tell us, yeah.
Second of all, positive and negative connote measurements, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You should be able to say,
quantify
here are the positives and here are the negatives.
Come on,
and you
ISS.
see there's more positives than negatives. Like, he has a really nice eyebrows that he manicures versus he has bad teeth. I don't know, whatever your positive and negatives are. They don't offer that part. They just say it appears.
I guarantee you that Glass Lewis listened to our reporting on this, heard us making fun of ISS, and said, "Okay, we're gonna have to support
we better
this
say something
campaign."
real. Egan Jones also too. But here's the other thing that I don't get about
Jones.
ISS.
Yeah, go ahead.
The largest shareholder is H Partners. They own 9% of the shares, right?
That's a lot.
That's a lot of shares. And ISS has said the largest shareholder is totally wrong, including the fact that they had a director on the board who whistle blew about the problems on the board, and ISS was like, nah, it doesn't seem relevant. It appears that something else is more important.
Well, let's not forget the company's not doing well.
Oh, really?
I mean, does that not factor into this? They're not exactly soaring. This isn't Nvidia soaring into the sky.
It appears that it's
struggling
hard to tell.
Company. Okay, sure.
There are compelling reasons to believe that they might be appearing to do well.
But the thing I don't get about ISS is you have a golden opportunity. You could at least get rid of the CEO's retiring. You could at least get rid of the woman who's been there since the Clinton administration. I mean, that's not hard.
No, you're making their vote on successors worthless.
Okay, all right. Let's go to my fifth story of the week, which is really just me introducing a concept that made me laugh and that no one else is probably going to care about. Okay, so there's a new pope. He's actually a dude from Chicago, which also makes me giggle.
He lived in Chicago for like 8 minutes, though. He spent most of his life in Peru.
But I saw a picture of him at the White Sox game, and I just thought, like, wait, what? Like, as a child, I'm not a Catholic. I don't know much about popes, but as a child, they just seemed like they were larger than life figures, right? They weren't real. They were deities. but really they're just dudes at White Sox games who go to Villanova, which is weird to me.
You got a pretzel. Yeah.
Anyway, what fascinated me is that his real name is what? It's Andrew Provost? Is it Andrew? I don't know. He has a real name.
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't know.
The papal system has this awesome system which renames the popes because each name signifies something else. So, for instance, they're saying that they're calling him Leo because Leos before him were reformers or defenders of church teachings. So they're suggesting that he is going to carry on some kind of social justice-y kind of thing that the last Leo did, right? Okay. And as another example, the former Pope, Francis, who just died, that name represents poverty, simplicity, ecological concern. And we know that to be true based on what the last pope was pushing. So this got me to think, wait, what the hell, Matt? We're screwing up.
Wait, well, how?
Because we complain constantly that that nobody knows the name of CEOs. Nobody pays attention. They don't even put the names of CEOs in headlines. We should be renaming CEOs like the papal system. And I'll give you an example. I have 6 great examples. First, how about Warren, like Warren the Seventh? Warren meaning meaning cuddly billionaires who control everything, put family members on board, and say pithy things, right?
Wow, I like.
How about
this.
Jamie the First, Jamie the Ninth, blowhard control freak bankers who think they should be president and have something to say about everything.
Wow.
Blah, blah, blah.
I referenced Sam Altman being Mark the Seventh because Mark in our new CEO papal system means college dropout social media dictators who have no oversight while charting humanity's demise, right?
Wow, good name. Mark the Seventh. Wait,
we could
name. Count? Are there actually 6 before?
Sure. We could name CEOs Elon, arrogant and childish wizard of Aussian leaders who pretend to be company founders with world domination delusions, right?
Who would want to be Elon the Third?
Well, there can only be Elon one. There can only be one.
there's only one.
And then the two you're going to love, Matt, Sundar, right?
Okay.
Sundar is an East Asian steward meant to distract from actual tech dictators, right?
Wow, that's not bad. That's not.
And finally, Tim's. Tim is a genteel southern cruise ship captain who keeps a steady hand after replacing a legend.
But comes up with nothing on their own.
Comes up with nothing on their own. That's what, right? They're just navigating through water, Matt. That's not actually innovation.
Just steer it.
So I actually think I've stumbled on something genius here, and I really think this should actually be enacted. So if you're listening, SEC or New York Stock Exchange, whoever, reach out to me. Let's get this going.
If you're listening, anyone, give us a name. Give us a name of a CEO that should carry on. That we can. Okay, so I can't choose that as the story of the week.
You could.
But that is definitely the story of
one of my best ideas. I gotta admit.
I mean, like, we've been doing this a long time, and you've had a lot of ideas.
A lot of stupid ideas.
Most of them are horrible. That one is good.
Think about it, though. If I told you that the CEO of OpenAI was Mark the Seventh, you would know that he was a college dropout dictator who wants to ruin humanity by having a social media with no oversight or something like that, right?
You know what's funny, though? They're on Mark the First's board are at least 2 other Marks.
Right?
Well, I just looked at
that's the confusing nature of this world. Yeah. Well, there are popes who were on the Pope's board before he died, right? The Pope who took over was on the Pope's board. They were all part of the
conclave, right? They were all bishops. So, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
This is fabulous. I think the story of the week, though, is the proxy firm split.
Really? That's your story of the week? Fine.
Look, it exposes something really amazing about the process, right? Like, first of all, shout out to Nell. Her testimony in the House Committee for Proxy Advisory Cartels she was the only voice of reason, right? Like, she's literally a voice of reason amongst the chaff.
Yeah, I'm glad. Wait, hold on. I'm glad you mentioned Nell because I actually forgot to include on the ISS story. Bob Monks passed away this week. Bob Monks, founder of ISS. One of the he was no longer affiliated. I think he sold it
for 30 years.
In the 90s.
He hasn't been affiliated.
But really, one of probably the grandfather of corporate governance, the dude who owned the company that I started at, the corporate library, where Nell also was. So I should have mentioned that. So that's another reason to vote for this story. Yeah,
amazing legacy of Bob Monks. I will say,
incredible.
Being the grandfather of something, though, that you also sort of like my grandfather might have been like an early Italian immigrant to not be racist, but that doesn't mean you can't progress from there. I would say you can stop doing what the grandpa did. You can do it your own, like take it further.
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
But here's the thing that makes this the story of the week. It exposes how infinitely stupid the analysis that you're paying for is.
Crazy, right? Pay us. Pay free floats.
Like there appears, I believe that as a group, there appears that his role has been more positive than negative, with no numbers attached to that. It would make it hard to argue that his vote on his successor is worthless. I can argue that. It's not that hard.
I promise you, if you replace your contracts with ISS with free float, we will never not provide analysis if asked.
True.
We will give voting recommendations for all your equities, but we will never drop that. We will always have some level of quantifiable analysis for everything.
Right? Like, it's 2025. You don't have to settle for, it appears, and I guess, that maybe someone is actually good at their job. You can use numbers now.
Yeah, and don't forget
a new thing called numbers.
And don't forget, unlike the crazy anti-ESG crowd, we know for a fact that ESG data is not political. It's not on the left or the right. So we can help you use the data in any way that you want.
Yeah, this isn't woke.
Anyway,
these are numbers.
These are numbers, data.
So I'm going with that, even though it's totally self-serving.
Okay. All right, come on, let's move on.
Let's do good news. I'll actually start with good news.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because my goodliest is the story of the week.
Oh, tell me why it's the goodliest.
Which is proxy firm split on Harley-Davidson board shakeup. Because of what Glass Lewis said, not ISS. So ISS
what did they say?
Vote for all of the Harley directors. And Glass Lewis said,
wrap my head around. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't do that. Right? Like that's the big split that they're talking about. And they said, quote, the board has, quote, overseen starkly suboptimal shareholder returns.
Ooh, that's a nice quote.
And that removing them from the 8-person board likely wouldn't create any problems. Now, I don't likely wouldn't create any problems.
But I do love the alliteration. There's some English majors over there at Glass Lewis.
There's some writers there.
But, by the way, can I just say to Glass Lewis, I applaud you, Glass Lewis, I guess, but this is more of just another poke at ISS. At a minimum, at a bare minimum, because this is not like any actual real analysis here. This is not any kind of performance metric on a director. At a bare minimum, if your directors have been there for that long and there's suboptimal shareholder returns and low sales and all that is a great answer at a bare minimum to get rid of a director.
Well, at least they said returns.
Yeah.
Because that's a measurable number.
Sure, exactly.
All right, so when I look on freeflowanalytics.com, freeflowanalytics.com, I'm looking, I just pulled up Harley-Davidson. It's free. It's up there, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go there too. Yeah.
Harley-Davidson, and there's a little tab that says board performance. I can see Harley-Davidson is the pink one.
You don't have to talk down to the audience. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the industry that they're in, right? Harley-Davidson underperforms on TSR. Period. Done. They underperform on controversies, meaning they're more controversial. I can look, then sort the directors themselves by who underperformed most on TSR. And I could see, oh, look, here are the ones that underperform. Here are all the ones that are under 500. 500 is average TSR. And guess what? The entire board is below 500, meaning you can measure what Glass Lewis stated. Starkly suboptimal returns. I just like that. I think it's good. I think it's good that someone's saying words that have meaning.
What else you got?
Oh, I got another one, which is I really like this headline.
I'm surprised you like this one. Yeah, go ahead.
I like it because
it's hopeful.
Basically, like, if people vote with their dollars the same way they vote with their votes,
Yeah.
it would seem to be good. 80% of Gen Z millennials plan to increase allocations to sustainable investments, Morgan Stanley survey said.
Like I believe that to be true. It's just, do I trust the survey?
Well, look, trust or not trust, I think younger generations clearly want something
Of course.
to make it so that the world is better and
course.
more livable.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't pay attention to what the Trump administration is doing, especially if you don't live in the U.S. That's a very small section of America, especially of young people. You're right. Don't pay attention to that.
that's all I like about it. That's what I like about
All
it.
right.
What do you have?
I have two. You're going to hate the first one, and you're going to love the second one. I only picked the first one because I'm just happy that some other actual founder of a company is saying something. He's actually like making a strong statement. The first headline: Bill Gates to give away $200 billion by 2045. Although I don't know how he has that much money in the first place. And if he were Mackenzie Scott, he'd already be giving it away.
I'm pretty sure he got it by quashing competition. That's how he got it.
But I like the second part of this headline. Says Elon Musk is killing world's poorest children. Hey, that's a great attention getter. He's talking about Musk cutting aid to various international groups across the globe.
To all of them.
Yeah, and Bill, I love you for saying it, just getting right to the heart of the matter.
That is pretty synced. Yeah.
Right. And this is not just some dude who co-hosts Business Pants from Free Float Media. This is Bill Gates.
Oh, how dare you?
I know. But the second one, I think, I don't know how you don't love this headline. And I don't even know why this wasn't a thing first. And I love that it's the gay car company that came up with this, and it's also the car company, the only car that I have ever bought. But here's the headline: This Subaru has an external airbag to protect cyclists. The design helps protect both pedestrians and cyclists in a crash.
Wow.
So basically what happens if it detects that you hit a pedestrian or a cyclist, that like rolls up, a airbag on the outside inflates, and they're saying it could save the life. I just love this.
I have to admit, I saw that headline, and I giggled because you know how like airbags deploy in the car that
I've never seen it happen. Knock on wood, but yeah,
they pop like I've seen videos of it where it pops up and like there's a risk that it bounces you backwards and you can actually hurt yourself if you're too short or whatever. Like, but it like cushions you and then you kind of slam back. I did in my brain, and this is not anything I saw. This is not design. This is not. I did in my brain see hitting a cyclist and this balloon popping on the outside and shoving the cyclist into the air away from the car.
Onto a mattress.
Like it wasn't like a funny visual. I'm gonna go. If I'm voting here, I'm gonna go with that one though.
Let's just call it that one and move on. Yeah. Let's go to Assolius. Let's move on.
All right, let's do Assolius. Assolius is simple this week though.
Thank God. It's been a while that we've had it easy.
There's 6 of them.
Yeah.
But they're all very simple.
I teased 10, but that's fine. We'll get 6.
This is the all Zuckerberg edition.
I love it.
And it's all different forms of Zuck. So you just pick the Zuck that you think is the biggest asshole.
Yeah, I gotta say, I chose Zuck as tongue-in-cheekily being like the winner of the year in our prediction show because I just had this sense that the evil of Zuck was gonna balloon.
Yeah, and back.
And what is being lost to anyone who doesn't listen to this show is that Zuck is doing a lot of horrible stuff this year.
Yeah, he's
saying horrible stuff,
his
doing
inner
horrible
sociopath.
stuff.
Like he's
literally it's crazy. It's horrible.
Casually indifferent to humans at all. But here,
it's bad.
Okay,
it's
so
bad.
why don't we start with an easy one here? Certified watch guy Zuck.
I don't even know what that means.
Here's the headline: Mark Zuckerberg is a certified watch guy. Here are some of his standout timepieces from $120 Casio to a $900,000 Grubel Force.
I don't like the sound of it. Is this a sarcastic way of saying like, well, nobody watches over me, so I buy a lot of watches, or is that what he's trying to? What's happening?
This is like there was a lot of social media jokes about the watch he wore when he was talking about sucking up to Donald Trump. Now, like shifting away, not having.
Why? What was important about the watch?
Because it was like a $900,000 watch. It was like a super expensive watch. But now he's a watch guy.
I hate him for this.
I like that they said he's a certified watch guy. Like I like that. I like that. He's certifiable watch guy. All right, here. How about try this Zuck on for size?
I didn't like that first one, by the way.
Knowing
of the rampant homeless problem where he lives, I don't like his idea of his watches.
Well, it is weird to juxtapose that with like the fact that Trump this past week said like girls should only be happy with $3 instead of 30, and you can do
what about boys?
5 pencils.
What about boys with their watches?
Well, the boys can have watches, I guess.
They can have a lot of watches, yeah.
But like, there was reporting that 58 crypto wallets have made millions on Trump's meme coin, but 760,000 have lost money. So basically, like, we are setting up a system in which you can have certified watch guy Zuck, but everybody else basically has no money, right? Like, because there's tariffs.
This is the Trump way, and unfortunately, this is becoming the way of a lot of our modern CEOs, which is that in society there are winners and there are losers. This is the system. But sadly, this is the system they're setting up, right?
Well, it's the definition of oligarchy, when a small number of people have all of the capital and have all the power, right? So they're certified watch guy Zuck. How about this one? Friend maker Zuck.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to, and I absolutely detest this one. Brought me to my knees. I hated this one so much.
Mark Zuckerberg. Here's the headline: Mark Zuckerberg wants you to have more friends, but AI friends. Ooh.
So basically, he eliminated our ability to make friends, and now he wants to help you replace them with fake friends, right?
Kudos to Business Insider for writing the headline that way. They wrote, Mark Zuckerberg destroyed friendship.
That's a better way of saying it.
Now he wants to replace it with AI, right? Like,
yeah, because I actually can't think of social media has destroyed human relationships better than anything, other than maybe the plague, like in the Middle Ages.
You know who's really qualified to tell you that you need more friends and that he can supply them for you if you can't find them? A guy who, this is a headline from this week. Mark Zuckerberg says his management style involves no one-on-ones, few direct reports, and a core army of 30 running Meta. I love a guy that literally doesn't want to talk to other people, telling you don't have enough friends, I will make them for you.
You have this empire that has enriched you this much, and you can't take the time to have one-on-ones with the people who are helping you.
I refuse to talk to you. You're out. How about human picker Zuck?
I don't know what that means. Go ahead.
We covered about 3 weeks ago that that Zuckerberg. I just wanted to juxtapose this against the AI story. That Zuck added 2 new people to the board: Patrick Collison and Dina Powell McCormick. Yep. And Dina Powell McCormick is a Trump
administration
Yeah. And Patrick Collison is a tech bro. He's the CEO, a dual class dictator at Stripe. I just like that Zuck's version of human friends is fake hand-picked human friends. His board, he hand-picks, and it includes.
Can I just say this is why my naming convention would be so important for investors, because they could, when going to the board, going to maybe the data at freeflowanalytics.com, they could quickly see that there are 4 different iterations of Mark on his own board.
And that's the real number. There's 4
Matt,
of them.
they wouldn't even have to spend a lot of time figuring out who these people are, because they would know what a Mark is. So they would immediately have an understanding that who the types of directors that he picks for his own board.
Yeah, it's Saint Mark the First, Saint Mark the Second, the Third,
drop
the
the
Fourth.
Saint. Drop the Saint.
There's also Saint Peter, the Second, the Third, and the Fourth. There's a Nepo baby on this board, so like you need a Nepo baby name. There's a family dictator suck up on the board.
Yeah.
Like, this board is like handpicked to kiss Mark's ass. When you actually look at the board and where they come from and what they're about,
to protect him,
it's all people who will not say no to him. There's no parent in the room anymore now that Cheryl's gone. Well, and Cheryl's arguably not a parent.
I was going to say, that's always been a bit. They only called her a parent because she was a woman, essentially.
So here is my assholiest prediction of the year.
Yeah.
Zuck will definitely be the first S&P 500, Fortune 500 mega cap company to have an AI board member, correct?
Hey,
right? Like he's replacing friends with AI.
That's an amazing prediction. I don't think we're that far off from a company kind of doing that,
Why
kind
the
of
hell
tongue in
wouldn't
cheek.
he?
But then
Yeah.
eventually it's real.
It's
And can I
real.
just say that they're going to do this in the face of something I've been begging for years, which is that American companies should absolutely have at least one employee representative on their boards. Not like the European system. I'm not even asking for half the board like they do in like places like Germany. Just one. But I think you're right. I bet you we have an AI board member before companies allow their workers on the board. Yeah.
My guess is, like, the inside of 10 years, you'll have an AI board member, but the AI will be calibrated to different types of representation. Like you'll have an AI employee rep. That's the one that reads all the employees' emails
and represents
the employees.
I don't think what you're saying is that far fetched.
That's
honestly.
the problem.
I don't.
It's not that far off. So human picker Zuck. That's one of your options.
I hate
that.
that.
Number 4, empathetic Zuck.
Is that a real thing?
So we already mentioned that he doesn't have one-on-ones anymore. But there was a story this week: gaslighting, golden handcuffs, and toxicity. Former Meta employees shared what it was like to be laid off as low performers.
Oh yeah.
These are people who basically saw their performance like go from middle of the pack to the bottom because they had layoff quotas. Here's like one of the stories, right? An employee was laid off after 5 months of leave for a serious health crisis while in the middle of a disability-related negotiation.
Oh.
So they were just laying off like, oh, well, you've got a health crisis. It would be way easier if you just didn't work here.
Yeah.
But I like this is what empathetic Zuck really looks like, because that's that there's clearly no empathy to the employees, but this is what it looks like. Meta exec apologizes to conservative activist Robbie Starbuck.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah.
That's empathy. I mean, they really feel bad for that guy.
That one is shocking. I mean, I think he was a named executive officer, right? He's a chief global policy. He had global policy. I don't remember his. Joel Kaplan, is it?
No, it's the new guy.
He apologized, Matt, to a misogynist, racist troll.
Internet troll. An internet troll.
Yeah, with absolutely no background in anything really, other than like making crappy music videos. That's astounding to me. I found that disheartening.
Damien, citizen journalist.
Whatever. We're all citizen journalists, Matt. If we didn't go to a proper journalism school.
That's right. That's correct. That makes us all that.
I'm a citizen doctor, actually, in my house.
How about number 5? Lover Zuck. Audience is judgy today. Here's Lover Zuck. Here's the headline: Mark Zuckerberg's wife was weirded out by his strange gift to her.
She's not just weirded out by him in general.
Yeah, that seems like the wrong headline framing. It just seems like, but apparently for her 40th birthday, he had commissioned a giant statue of her and put it in their yard.
How do you know how giant?
Like 7 or 8 feet tall, right? Like there's a picture of her next to it, and it towers over her. Then he went on the Theo Vaughn podcast this past week. This is right. The headline is here, and this is the part that Lover Zuck is really. Now we're gonna figure out who Lover Zuck's really into, because what he said was he made it for her. He didn't say this, but this is what the article says. He made it for her not out of love, but because the billionaire is apparently a huge fan of the sculptor behind the statue, the pop artist Daniel Arsham, but decided to go with his wife's likeness, he said on the podcast, because a statue of himself would have been, quote, crazy.
That would have been crazy.
So he went to the artist and was like, I would have loved the statue for myself, but I know that looks crazy, so just do my wife so that I could give it to her.
Explain his wife to me. Explain his wife to me. So she is unlike Zuck. She's a very intelligent, educated woman. So she actually went to Harvard. She graduated, full scholarship. She graduated.
Got a degree, I think.
She has her MD, right? She's a very smart woman from Massachusetts, from New England. She's watching as her. She must have seen like reels, for instance, Instagram reels. She sits back and watches as her husband erodes the brains of 2 billion users.
Wouldn't you choose not to look? Isn't that the kind of thing you're just
okay,
like,
sure.
like my house is really nice.
That
I'm just going to look over there.
Products that develop algorithms to keep you using it longer, that feed you absolute nonsense that is literally rotting your brain. She sits back and she's upset about the statue. That's weird. The statue's weird.
Here's the crazy part of the article. They actually do mention the fact that Mark and Priscilla do not have a prenup. Now, I don't know how much of this is previously reported. I don't know what's real, but this is what they say in the article. That they don't have a prenup, but they did have a contract where they mandate they'll have at least 100 minutes of alone time per week.
100?
Yeah, 100. And then there was something about like
what?
Like the amount of days that they would be in the same place, because Priscilla is the one who opened the school in the South Bay, around San Francisco, that they just closed because it's DEI.
It's too DEI friendly, yeah.
She opened the school to take care of poor kids, educate poor kids in those communities.
Yeah. But that's a bad look now.
They put in the contract, we have to spend time together because you're going to be over there, I'm going to be over here. We want alone time together.
What?
It's all weird. It's all weird. Who contracts out we must spend time together?
I'm not liking this one yet anymore.
It's Loverzuck. And here's the last one. And this is like a touch old, but I included it anyway. Academic Zuck. Because of this headline, Mark Zuckerberg says college isn't preparing students for the job market.
Yeah,
that's academic Zuck. That's a hot take from him.
This is the perfect headline because this represents our age perfectly well, which is we are all a bunch of internet trolls, and we just say a thing because we read a thing. There is no evidence to support any of this anti-college rhetoric by all the Peter Thielian, Mark Zuckerbergian,
ISSian.
Right. I mean, what, Mark? I know you dropped out, so you famously don't understand like things like ethics. But give us the proof of that. I really would like to see the proof because it's just a nonsense, utter nonsense. But this is the world we live in, Matt. You just say a thing and it's true. So
well, here are your options for Assholius. So you get to say a thing and make it true. Certified watch guy Zuck, friend maker Zuck, human picker Zuck, empathetic Zuck, lover Zuck, or academic Zuck.
I'm going to what I'm going to call the dystopian Zuck, which is this horrible story that Mark is without satire, is essentially suggesting that the future, in order to combat the fact that we don't have a lot of friends as humans, we should just have fake AI friends, right? Dystopian Zuck, I'm going to call it.
I will make your friends Zuck. Yeah, all right, good pick.
That's horrifying. Again, yet another compelling reason that you heard on this show to go right now and delete all of your accounts that Mark Zuckerberg owns. You don't need those things to continue your great lives, because I'm assuming all of our listeners have amazing lives. So now would be a great opportunity just to delete them.
If you just took your phone and threw it in the garbage.
I'm not even saying that.
Like
that's next week.
You would look up and you'd make friends because you wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise you'd be bored. All right, let's move on. Headline news.
Oh, we're almost done, thank God.
Headline news, winners, predictions. Let's do all of them.
You want me to go first?
Sure. You have like 93 headlines you chose.
Yeah, I just got rid of one of them. The first one is just too classic. This is from a corporate governance nerd perspective. Olivia and John Randall Tyson named to Tyson Foods Board of Directors.
Oh, that's the worst headline I've ever heard.
First of all, I love named to because, forget shareholders. Secondly, I want to point out to the listening audience that John Randall Tyson is the guy who keeps getting arrested, who got fired from Tyson.
That's John
the same
R? That's
guy.
John R. Wow, you got named to the board.
Yeah, so there you go. That's
I wonder what ISS thinks that the positives might outweigh the negatives here.
They're going to say, like, buy chicken nuggets. That's what they're going to say. Because they might make you feel, like, full or something. I don't know.
What?
Want me to keep going?
Do we need to? That might be the headline of the year.
I have a couple more that made me laugh. This one you're going to hate. This new mental health service targets burned out content creators.
Oh, no. I'm worried for you. I'm worried about you now.
Yeah. How about you just stop creating content? We've had
enough.
I think we're done. And then this other one made me chuckle because it's just so stupid. Costco co-founder still goes into the office weekly at age 89, right? But then there's this. If you look a little deeper, it says Costco co-founder Jim Sinegal stepped down from his role in 2012, but still goes to the office some Tuesdays. So that come on, that doesn't count as weekly. Come on, what are we doing? That's not weekly. Some Tuesdays.
Also,
come on.
Why do you go to the office?
I don't know.
What do you do there?
Does he think the office is like the aisle at Costco where you buy like cashews and like walnuts?
No, you buy a desk. He's like sitting at the desk, the demo desk in the show.
Come on, CNBC, read your own reporting. It says some Tuesdays. That's not weekly. That's not the same thing. Come on.
All right, I have two for you, and they're both Elon Musk. So you're not gonna like either of them. But here's one. Elon Musk's urgent concern that the Earth is going to get swallowed by the sun.
Well, okay, wait a minute. First of all, the word there that's funny to me is urgent. I actually know for a fact that this is the scientific fact that I think I still have from being back in the day when I was educated.
Oh, I like
this. The sun is expanding, no? Very slowly.
Yeah.
And I think in billions of years.
Yeah.
Right? It is true, Elon. Earth cannot last beyond the expansion of the sun.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is Musk reasoning through why we have to go to Mars right now.
Right, because Mars in the same solar system as Earth, right? Our neighbor planet is somehow going to withstand the expansion of the sun.
It's 7 minutes away from Earth.
Somehow
right?
it's not gonna affect Mars.
Let's let Musk describe it in his own words. Quote, Mars is life insurance for life collectively, Musk said.
Stop.
So eventually all life on Earth will be destroyed by the sun. The sun is gradually expanding, and so we do at some point need to be a multi-planet civilization because Earth will be incinerated.
Oh my God, everyone should just divest from everything Musk immediately. There's so much about this that is laughable. And this guy actually did graduate from college, right?
So we know, so you know, listener of this show, you will be informed. The sun's expansion is slated to incinerate the Earth in 6 billion years.
Oh, I actually thought it was longer than that. I thought it was longer than that. Maybe we should be afraid.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we got to get on this now.
Yeah.
Like forget climate change. We shouldn't be protecting ourselves from climate change. We've got to get to Mars because 6 billion years from now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? These are the same people who argue that 2050 is too far away to do something. 2050.
So if the sun is going to get to Earth in 6 billion years, when's it going to get to Mars? Like 6 billion years in 3 days? Like what's the, what's the timeline
it's
there?
Very, very small difference.
That's the part I love about this the most is that let's just like take for granted that let's just accept the fact that okay, maybe we need to leave this Earth eventually, right? Because the sun is expanding. That's a fact. But that he thinks going to Mars is the insurance policy. That's like me saying that.
Yeah. We need to.
That's like me saying that there is a giant volcano that erupted in Canada, and it's gonna completely cover Maine, right? And we're all gonna die. So let's move to New Hampshire to save ourselves, because it won't. Because it'll take an extra 5 days for the lava to get to New Hampshire, right? I mean, so we'll be safe there.
Look, you can laugh all you want, but he is correct that it's 6 billion
That's
years.
That's terrible. Divest Musk.
And then the other one was, you already read it, but Elon Musk is responsible for killing the world's poorest children.
I don't like that
Gates.
one.
Yeah.
And luckily, we don't vote on those, so we can move on. I don't like
we
any
can
of
just
that.
move on. Who won the week for you?
This one's obvious to me. First, it's the Pope number 267. I'm calling him the world's greatest vampire CEO. And I gotta say, unlike the corporate system where we basically don't let women be CEOs, the papal system really doesn't let women be CEOs.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
It's a double. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Doesn't. Yeah.
But the other winner here, I'm gonna call them Villanova students, because unless you're openly gay or have a vagina, because suddenly now all Villanova students think that they can eventually be the Pope, which is kind of cool, right?
Kind of, except that do you think Charlie Munger would have Villanova on his list of places that his daughter should not marry someone from Villanova. I know he said
But
Swarthmore.
now she can marry the future pope, maybe.
But Villanova also, like, you don't want your daughter to marry someone from Villanova, do you? I don't.
Yeah.
Is that's in that gray zone? Is that like
I know.
blue collar enough for you? I don't.
I know no one's gonna care about this reference. Maybe even not myself. But I remember as a kid, I think it was Villanova that in the March Madness they beat, I think, Georgetown. They had a miracle win, and their weird little coach was jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Miracles happen at Villanova, Matt. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Unless of course, you're gay or have a vagina. Miracles happen at Villanova. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, look, my winner, I saw this headline. EPA plans to shut down the Energy Star program.
I hate this.
Why? Don't you hate this?
Why?
It's the most popular thing the EPA does.
But you don't
in this
want
country.
You don't want Americans to potentially save any money anymore. Or what are we doing? Why?
Well, the winner, if they shut it down, is your shitty washer dryer, which no longer looks horrible when you look at all the new ones and you realize, like, oh, mine literally eats like a nuclear farm worth of energy to like dry my dirty socks. Yeah. And now I don't have to know that. And therefore, my washer dryer just no longer feels bad. So that was my winner. Ironic winner. You got any predictions before?
Yeah, I'll go first because mine's quick. And this reference back to a joke I made earlier. So I'm really just reinforcing the joke. The prediction's stupid. OpenAI's CEO, who we now know is named Mark the 7th, right?
Yeah, we do know that. Yeah.
Creates a deep fake video showing the country of China, the whole country, eating his new baby at one of his homes in Hawaii, thereby causing the Trump administration to completely dismantle the SEC immediately.
Wow, I don't even understand. Right? I don't even know that.
What I'm trying to say is Mark the 7th is gonna prove that China is evil, and that's why no one should pay attention to anything Mark the 7th is doing.
That was confusing. All right, sit tight because I've got two predictions.
Again, I told you it was just to reinforce my new CEO papal naming system.
I've got two predictions. The first is built off of this headline: Euronext rebrands ESG and drive to help European defense firms.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like war.
So Euronext is I think they're Dutch-based listing company, and they do indexes and stuff.
Yeah.
They wanted to name it Energy Security and Geostrategy, ESG.
It's clever, yeah.
Now, somebody wrote, I posted on LinkedIn something about this, and somebody wrote, like, basically a clever rebrand does not just recycle the exact same thing. That, like, you don't call ESG now means something different. It's
now it means ESG.
And everybody's, like, still. But I thought they flopped here. And LSEG, the London Stock Exchange, is going to pick up on it, and they're going to rebrand their ESG scores to be emitting, smoking, and gambling ESG scores, right?
Okay.
This way, investors can finally do ESG investing and feel good about it, because ESG, I think everybody should rebrand the acronym to whatever it is they want to invest in.
Got it.
And then they can call everything ESG. Anything. And LSEG will pick up on it first, but I imagine everyone's going to follow suit.
Wow,
that's prediction number one.
Yeah, I can't believe you went for ESG acronym humor.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It's little utilized.
Yeah.
My second one is a bit longer. I saw Musk gets his Texas wish. SpaceX launch site is approved as the new city of Starbase.
Ugh.
So I predict, you ready for this? I predict in 12 months, inside of a year, Musk is offering SpaceX employees that live in Starbase, because it's a company town. It's just going to be SpaceX employees, basically, that live there. He's offering them crypto tokens instead of pay that are redeemable at stores in Starbase.
Yeah.
Right? So
you're not crazy about this. I mean, I think this is what the Trump sons really how they want America to become.
In order to avoid this being called scripts, which were outlawed in 1938 in the United States, but they still got used anyway for a while.
Of course.
Musk will actually list them on a crypto exchange, so you get the meme stockery, the meme crypto thing, by listing your Starbase tokens and crypto on an exchange, and eventually, but they're worthless. Nobody wants them because you can't use them for anything except that they're basically a representation of Musk's town. And I'm guessing that the employees recognize that they actually can't use this anywhere. They are totally in debt when they leave, and they start a new renaissance of resistance music
Uh-oh.
Like We Shall Overcome. You remember like We Shall Overcome?
Yeah.
I think
wow, that's quite a
an
prediction.
employee's going to make a #1 ranked song that's resistance music to Elon Musk's scripts. That's my prediction.
That's quite a prediction. Can I just say that this new, I'm going to call it a DEI movie, basically because a black person made it, and because I know it's going to tweak Nelson Pelt, called Sinners, a fabulous movie. They reference these scripts in the movies, so it's a topical.
It's a real thing. It's coming.
Topical.
It's coming, baby.
Go see Sinners. Good movie, yeah.
That's our show. That's Hazel and Rawless. I'm your analyst, Tom Mascardi. We are Free Floats. We got another show coming out today. So if you listen to this and you want more but better analysis, we got Proxy Countdown. It's also being released today. Otherwise, if you want Free Float analytics data,
you should
go sign up for free. ISS, I know you're listening.
Especially if you're an ISS customer, you should want it.
Sign up for free. And if you want more of it, the stuff that you can't get, like knowledge data, connections data, like deeper analysis, call us because we are for sale and we are cheap. Because we want the money. That's all we got. Till next week. Good. Bye.